They were talking to Eric Bandholz of Beardbrand, founder, great beard, and we're looking forward to hearing about your story.
Well, pleasure to be here. Here in sunny LA.
Yeah, sunny LA, looking over downtown LA right now. So, Eric, we like to start with where you grew up and then how you started to post things on the internet.
Okay. Well, that's quite a leap. I grew up in South Carolina, Greer, South Carolina, home of the BMW manufacturing plant. Classy place.
Greer.
And pretty much grew up there all my life. Didn't move around from like first grade until I went out to college and went to the University of South Carolina. So I do consider myself a South Carolinian. And then graduated college, just had your typical suburban childhood. And then did the grind for like 10 years. I was a salesman in various forms, like a printing salesperson, Cisco Systems.
What'd you major in?
Marketing and management with a minor in retail.
Okay.
So I'm actually like one of the few people who has a degree that's very relevant to what I'm doing right now.
Would you say you use the degree? Like you use what you learned in college?
Yeah. So specifically retail, there are a lot of things that I learned, like the industry standard for markups. Keystoning is what it's called, where you essentially double the price. So that allowed us to build Beardbrand out in a way that didn't like really handcuff us from not having the profit margins that are required to run a business and to grow a business. So that, and then just like markups and margins, and even like I took a textiles class, and I needed to fall back on that when we looked at printing shirts and stuff like that. So
I do feel like I keep seeing that with D2C brands, is they'll start and they'll talk about cutting out the middleman, eliminating markup, and then they'll slowly raise their prices as they figure out you have to have a certain level of profitability to run a company and scale.
Yeah, well, the reality is, from a business perspective, is all those things have to happen, right? The manufacturing to distributing it to consumers, they all have to happen in some way. And you can cut out a company that's doing it, but it still has to happen, right? You still have to have the logistics of moving product around and finding the market and getting it to the marketplace. And there are a lot of efficiencies in the distribution channel. So those markups, may not even be, like they're just making tons of profit and stuff like that, because your cost of shipping something directly to a consumer but may be more expensive than doing it in bulk to a local retail location and then selling from there if you're paying like $1,000 a month in rent or something like that. So there's all these things.
So you're grinding away.
Yeah.
And how long is that? Like how long are you just 9 to 5ing?
Yeah. So I graduated college 2003, and the various jobs went until 2008 when I was laid off during that downturn. And that's kind of when I started my entrepreneurial journey. Started working with my dad, who is an executive recruiter. And any advice out to people listening: do not start in the recruiting business when everyone's getting laid off. So that was about like a year or a half a year of like hard work and like nothing to show for it. So literally just smiling and dialing and getting rejected for like 6 months straight. And then I tried this other business. This was like my phase of like, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know how. And I thought being an entrepreneur was going to the Secretary of the State and paying my license and then getting my EIN. And it's like, I got a business now and I made it. And then, I was focused on the outcome rather than like the identity of like, what does an entrepreneur really do? How are they spending their time? How are they solving problems?
But why did you want to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, like growing up, like your dad was the entrepreneur of the family. Like
No, I mean, I think we've had like a history of entrepreneurship. My grandmother and grandfather, they had a bar and restaurant in Philadelphia. So we always went up there as a kid. And then my dad was a businessman. He was like a general manager of a textile plant in Greenville. And then he went into executive recruiting, which is more of like, it's like being a lawyer or a doctor. You're just trading your time for money and doing that independently, which wasn't really something I wanted. Like, I'm really driven for freedom is probably one of my biggest things. And our core values at Beardbrand are freedom, hunger, and trust. And it's that drive for freedom that entrepreneurship is really your only pathway to get, other than being like a sugar, what do they call it? Sugar mama, sugar daddy, something like, or having one of those and then, kind of living off of them. But like if you build your business the right way, then it will give you the opportunity to really choose the life that you want to live. And that's what I'm really drawn to.
So in your grind, did you have a gray beard?
That's how the story of Beardbrand starts. So Beardbrand started, like, I always imagined myself as a bearded guy. Like, I've always wanted to have facial hair. I remember specifically in college, like, the counselors would tell you when you interview for the job, the first thing you do is you've got to shave. Like, that was never like an option. Is like, every interview you go to, you have to be completely shaved. And I kind of took that with me, and I always did that. I'd shave for the interview, wear the suit and tie. And then, I always kind of felt this, like, it wasn't like a direct pressure, but just kind of like this societal pressure that you have to look a certain way if you want to be in the business world. And so I would grow a beard, but it would be more of like, a couple weeks of length, kind of scruff. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And then probably back in 2007 or 2008, I grew it out during No Shave November or Movember, and used that as a way to raise money for charity, for one, and then to also like experience growing a bigger beard. And granted, it was only grown for a month, but for me, that was like just huge and enormous. Like, I had never done that before. And, I just really fell in love with having facial hair, and I felt like it was me, I don't want this to seem very, belittling to people who are like coming out of the closet or dealing with like these identity issues that are significantly more serious than what I had to go to. But it was just like becoming myself is what it felt like. And, through the pressure of having facial hair in the business world, everyone called me Grizzly Adams or ZZ Top or Duck Dynasty. And those are all like cool dudes, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not me. I'm a buttoned up kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
now let's take a break for our sponsor, the Buttoned Up Podcast.
So that's what Beardbrand was. Beardbrand was a way to, like, I consider myself an urban beardsman, and I wanted to provide the tools and the resources to a community of people similar to me, other urban beardsmen, on how to grow and rock a beard in a world that traditionally, you couldn't wear a beard. So like ministers and doctors and lawyers and salespeople and entrepreneurs. And when we started, like, it was completely taboo for any of these people to have any kind of facial hair. But through our efforts and through the efforts of our community, I really think we've made a pretty big impact. And it's no longer taboo to wear facial hair in these environments.
It does seem like the past 10 years it has become way more acceptable. But that starts off with like a blogger account where you're starting to post as the Urban Beardsman. What's the inception?
Yeah, so we started, it was February 2012. We started with a YouTube channel, and we started with a Tumblr account. And there's actually like this guy named John who started up building the community in those early days. So he like just created it on a whim, and he was all into it for like the first month, and then he's like a typical entrepreneur and just goes off onto like a different project. And I'm like, well, I'm just left here. So I kind of kept it running on autopilot, doing a video every few months. And that was enough to get traction from, or to get noticed by New York Times, because I was literally the only person talking about beards and growing beards back in 2012.
Yeah.
And if you're the only person doing it, then you're the de facto expert.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like it's not only like more guys are wearing facial hair, but also there's like so many beard products out there now.
Oh yeah.
Whereas when you guys were starting, it's not like there wasn't like a new beard oil company every day on Instagram.
Yeah, I think that's tapered down a little bit over the past year or so. Like, it's gotten really competitive, as you mentioned, and we were lucky to be. I mean, I don't know if it's luck or not, or it's just an extension of my passion and just fortunate timing, but we were one of the early players, and I think the difference between us, and especially back in 2012, is like we really took facial hair seriously. Like before that, it was kind of kitschy, and those sunglasses that would have like mustaches, and people would have their little mustache tattoos.
It's like a costume kind of.
Yeah, it was like kind of like, oh yeah, I'm wearing the beard ironically, or I'm wearing the mustache ironically, and we're like, no, this is serious. People really do enjoy it, and here's how you do it. And I mean, we would interject our own kind of humor in there, and a couple dad puns and inappropriate jokes and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's like the beard was never the butt end of the joke. You know,
Yeah.
it was always just about being the person you want to be.
Laughing with the beard, not at the beard.
Yeah. Not
So-
even doing that, you know, like just maybe like coming up with some witty puns around beard. I don't know.
Well, so I've heard you say though, I can't remember if it was a podcast, but you said I think you can make like 6 videos about beards, right? There's like 6 topics you can really do about beards. So I know you post like daily on the content. So what's the evolution? You start to do some monthly videos, and then you realize you got traction, and then like where's it go from there?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a grind, and you know, from a business perspective, it's to do what you can do now to the best of your abilities, and then figure out ways to improve it and get it better. So we started off with like 6 videos in the first year, and then that went to, you know, like 12 videos in the second year, and then 30 videos the third year, 50 videos in the fourth year, and then we, you know, as July 2017, we went up to daily content. And like you said, like how many ways can you talk about growing a beard? The answer is one. If you want to grow a beard, you just wait, and that's essentially all you need to do. But there are like a lot more details, like how to take care of a curly beard, how to take care of a straight beard. You can get really granular with your detail and really kind of hone in on what issue the person's having. But in addition to that, we figured out ways to create content that empowers people to not just think about growing a beard, but think about their grooming efforts and think about their style and their hair and what the beard style is, and how to communicate to a barber and give them examples of what guys are doing. So we film a lot of barbershop videos where it's nice because it's like this transformation type of video where a guy comes in, he's looking all shaggy, goes to this excellent barber. The barber gives him a phenomenal haircut, great beard trim. He leaves with a giant smile on his face, feeling great. And you guys know that feeling whenever you get like a fresh haircut. You're like, oh yeah, I want to like bang the town, or what do people say nowadays?
Yeah, bang
Not
the town.
bang, not bang.
I'm gonna go on
That's
Bumble
what
and
they say in
Bumble
Austin.
and like swipe right all the time.
Yeah, I mean, your guys' haircut videos, that's probably my favorite part of the channel. And, you know, I don't have a beard, but I really like the hairstyle videos. I think that's one of the best ways also to communicate with your barber stylist, is just to show them a video. And so I think that's a hugely valuable part of the channel, even for non-bearded guys.
Yeah, for guys of my age and my generation, it's like there's almost like this. It's silly to me, but there's almost this pride in like being unkempt and like wearing your color shorts, putting no time into your haircut, cutting your own hair and having a terrible haircut, no intentionality with your look and style, and they wear that with a badge of honor. And they're like, you're like a woman if you like style your hair or like put on cologne. And to me, like, I want to shift that perception. It's like, if you invest in yourself and you love that person who's looking back at you in the mirror, like your day just gets off to such a better start. You know, like you feel like $1,000,000, and then you can do and accomplish so much more in the day when you like love yourself enough to take care of it and to invest in yourself. And it can be your clothes, you know, it can be your accessories, it can be, of course, your grooming routine, but invest in yourself, your education, of course, you know, like you only have one life. Like, what are you doing sitting around and just playing video games and I don't know, like just drinking beers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's fun and you need to have downtime, but
So in
love
2012
yourself.
though, you start the YouTube channel. Is the intention to do content on beards and then also beard products? Like, was the YouTube channel something you did to pursue the urban beard, and then Beardbrand grew out of that, I guess?
yeah, so I mean, it started with Beardbrand, and Beardbrand was built to serve urban beardsmen. So we wanted to give them everything they needed. So in those early days, I meant, you know, videos and blog content on how to take care of your beard. And then I always had this vision of uniting the community of urban beardsmen and really like bringing everyone together and letting them know that they're not alone. And how we brought them together, we didn't know. So it turned out that grooming products, like in my mind, I thought it was going to be like this lifestyle company with like apparel and, you know, accessories and wallets and like just the gear to kind of give you that look of the urban beardsman, but ended up being grooming products. So
And some flannels.
yeah, lots of flannel and
Urban flannels.
yeah, urban flannels.
Yeah.
And you did kind of dip your toes a little bit into apparel, and
Yeah,
you know, you
yeah.
guys are rebranded, and like, so you've gone through some changes, and I feel like recently kind of settled into an identity, or at least for now.
Yeah. We're not afraid to like take risk and break stuff. And like, you know, we were talking about on our car ride here that like I have a lot of visions, and, you know, I can see how to get there, but you don't always have the resources to get to that vision. So you kind of have to understand like where you need to chop off, you know, certain visions you're having, and just focus on the ones that are working, and really give those all the benefits. And we found that like just our audience, they really love grooming products, and they love that process of investing in themselves. So we just kind of doubled down on that. And I think you'll see with like the haircutting videos, like, you know, one of the big movements for us is to go beyond the beard. So you figured out how to take care of your beard, and you got that looking A+, but how do you take care of your hair? How do you take care of your skin? How do you make sure you know, minimize any kind of like acne and flare-ups and stuff like that through a good skin regimen? So those are going to be kind of like the direction, the evolution of the brand as we continue to grow.
Nice.
So you can tell in some conversations with you, like you've developed a very sense of like business sense. And what are some of the resources that you like focus on to really think about like the company and strategy and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I really believe strongly in the value of like attending events with other like-minded people. I've learned so much from going to things like Menfluential and this man camp thing that we're at right now, and there's many other ones that I attend. So I probably hit up, you know, 4 or 5 of them a year, and I'll just be like, oh, I'm having all these problems, like, you know, we don't know how to hire people, or we don't, you know how to market this or that. And just listen, just like shut up and listen. And I've just sucked up so much information. But a few good books like Traction is a great policy or a good like process oriented book to kind of get you started on like building that foundation for running your organization. Top Grading is a great way to hire people. And then, you know, those early days, it's just like grind and like just want to last. You just got to last longer than everyone else. It's like, you know, like I may not have the best product, I may not have the best website, I may not be the best looking guy, but, you know, damn it, I want to make 800 videos on beards, and like good luck trying to do that.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, that has been, and still to a certain degree is part of our core values with hunger, you know, just like that perseverance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask about Shark Tank. You probably get asked about that a lot, but how did that happen? Man, Shark Tank was great, man. We in that first 2 years, like we felt like we were God's gifts to entrepreneurship. Like we're like entirely bootstrapped. The business is looking like a hockey curve, and like we're just doing everything right. And you know, of course, everything's going right. So you reach out to Shark Tank, and you got like this great story to tell, and the business to back it up. And you know, we're early in the space at the time, so they got gravitated to it, and so we applied there, and then went through that whole process. It's a very like thorough process to background check, and one of the most common questions is, do you give up equity to be on the show? And they remove that, so you can pitch without the risk of losing a piece of your business. And then of course appearing on the show was very intense, and intense less from how you might think about it. Like it's not intense because you have these 5 very talented entrepreneurs in front of you who are going to grill you in your business, but intense because whatever you do or respond to them, 7 million people are going to see it. Yeah. And they're going to judge you based on, you know, obviously based on how you respond to it, but also how ABC or the show decides to edit it up. Yeah. So we were very fortunate that, in my opinion, Shark Tank did a fair and accurate representation of what went on there. And what you see, I mean, I was in there for like 45 minutes. They cut it down to 7 minutes, but the basic feel for what was going on, I think that was essentially what happened, or at least according to my memory. And was it like a game changer in terms of traffic and sales and all that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's the show makes it look like you appear on Shark Tank, and then you know you're an 8-figure business, and you just, you know, drive Lamborghinis and fly yachts and shit like that. Yeah. I mean, you can't even fly yachts, but people do it.
Well, you've been on Shark Tank.
Yeah, I've been on Shark Tank, so I got my flying yacht. But it's you do get that immediate boost, and then whenever the reruns, you get like little boost here and there, but it's not that golden ticket. You still have to grind and work hard. So it gives you a leg up because We still do get questions about it, and people will be like, "Oh, hey, you were the guy in Shark Tank." And I'm like, "Man, you got a great memory." Like, because my beard's not as long and my hairstyle is completely different. So
yeah, awesome. Well, we should do rapid fire real quick. So we have a series of rapid fire questions that, of course, you couldn't have prepared for. We prefer short answers, 1 or 2 words. Are you ready?
Okay, I'll try to keep it short. I get a little wordy sometimes.
All right. Oxfords or brogues?
I don't even know what those are.
How about boots or dress shoes?
Boots.
Lifting or cardio?
Cardio.
Loafers or sneakers?
Sneakers.
All right. Spring, summer, or fall, winter?
Fall.
It's all the same in Austin, right?
It's
always
Texas
sunny.
is the answer.
Yeah, from like October to February.
All right. Morning shower or evening shower?
Morning. No brainer on that one.
Jeans.
Who does evening showers?
We get a lot of both. We hear like morning and evening.
Oh, that's weird.
People who shower in the morning, and then if they work out later, they'll shower in the evenings. Yeah. All right. Jeans, chinos, or trousers?
Jeans.
Jeans. Okay. And navy or charcoal? Like if you're wearing a suit.
Oh, suit? Navy.
Okay. And last question. So if you got to get fired up for the day, you're in the shower, what song are you listening to?
Ooh, I got my Drake radio on, you know?
Drake radio?
What's that song?
You're asking the wrong guys.
Started at the bottom, now I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like those where, like, he dadded me and now look at me.
Get pumped up.
Those are my kind of songs.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
That's great. Well, thank you for coming on, Eric.
It's my pleasure, guys.
Everybody check out Beardbrand, and maybe you can help. I'm about to participate in Movember.
Dude, you can really grow a good facial hair. I can tell.
You had a good one in Scotland, right?
Yeah, I still have to show you the mustache. I'll show you later.
And we talked about this. He looks like Henry Cavill.
That's right.
And he's going to grow the beard stash, which Henry had for a period of time. And you're just going to look dapper as, what do they call it? AF.
AF.
Dapper AF. Maybe we'll see you on Beardbrand one of these days.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll come down to Austin for a haircut.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, guys. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.